Hello friends, and welcome to my craft table. I'm Rita from Rita's Paper Motif, and I am so glad that you're here today. So whether you're watching live or catching the replay, it's always a joy to spend creative time with you. So if you're new, I'd love for you to follow me here on Facebook. And subscribe on the YouTube channel if you're watching on the YouTube channel. And then visit me at the website at ritaspapermotif.com so we can stay connected. I'm sorry here, let me just, a couple things going here. Let's see. I'm so sorry, just one moment please. I need to be able to see when you have questions. Okay, so we're good now. Let's see. Okay, so where were we? So I'd love, if you're new here, I'd love for you to follow me here on Facebook. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe for weekly inspiration and visit my website at the papermotif.com. This is always the best place for us to stay connected. And so tonight, today, I'm so sorry, I have my time mixed up. I guess I'm all mixed up today. Today we're diving into July's paper pumpkin, and I want to share a few alternative cards I've made, and then we're going to create one together featuring a fun fold. It's a simple way to change up your cards, and the best part is that you can try it with the supplies that you already have. Now before we jump in, here's why paper pumpkin might be right for you. First of all, if you're limited on space, the kits are all inclusive, so storage is easy. If you're limited on time, everything is already pre-cut for you and ready to assemble. It even has the adhesive that you might need for your crafting. And if you like to craft with friends, and so it's a kind of a fun way to get together over coffee and have a good time, you can just grab your paper pumpkin and go. And then if you like to craft while you're traveling, the paper pumpkin is a great option because, excuse me, it fits right into your luggage. And so there's an exciting part of all of this, and that is if you subscribe between July 11th and August 10th, you'll get 25% off of your first kit. So the August Kindred Greetings kit would be the first one, and it's beautiful, it's heartfelt, it's a heartfelt collection, and all the new subscribers can also unlock access to exclusive add-ons like die cuts and then also to past kits. So if there was a past kit that you've seen that maybe you'd like some of those parts so you can dabble in that, then they'll be available to you. So it's a win-win situation, and it's a good thing for you to carve out creative time for you. So grab your favorite drink. I've got my water, and say hello in the comments, and let's get to crafting. Now the very first thing I want to do is share that paper pumpkin, and I want to share, actually I want to share what's left in my paper pumpkin because, you know, I really did some creating this time, and so here's what's left out of my paper pumpkin, and it's these few little bits. So that's it. That's what's left. So I feel like I feel good about it. And so, you know, but this is just parts of the card bases that were available. So let me show you what was intended. So the contents in this kit were intended so that you could create 3 different designs, 3 cards of each design, right? And so I know that sometimes directions can be hard to follow just because maybe the person writing the directions doesn't isn't always communicating clearly, or perhaps, well, for a variety of reasons. But these instructions are great because they're illustrated, and it doesn't matter what language you speak or who is dictating these directions. They're all illustrated and anyone can follow. Now, I do want to say, and I'll come back to this, I do want to talk about these easel cards. But on the back side of the illustrations, you'll find out what's in your kit. So you can kind of make sure you have everything. So you get all these card bases. Now, if we look at the card bases here, we see that these two are easels, easel folds, but this one is landscape, where these are portrait. So you can make 3 landscape and not have to deviate. You can do whatever you want if you want to deviate. Excuse me. But this is what's in your kit. You get the tear and tape, which we're going to use today. You get the card bases. You get a little ink spot. It's called Timid Tiger. I haven't opened mine. I'll be using this as a little gift. So the first subscriber to something that's going to happen in my Christmas mini series, this is probably going to be one of the gifts. But you get the gifts, the ink spots, you get a stamp set. And what I like to do is I like to take this back part of the illustrations and I like to just copy it off. And then I'll use this to label my stamp. So then once I put this into my Avery L stamp and label it, it goes into my stamp collection. And I'll usually file this under birthdays because it has so many birthday sentiments. And then I can use it whenever I want this. So there's a lot of things that I would use, a lot of stamps. I would use this graft. This, I call it a graph. But I would use this like for background. I could even see this embossed, heat embossed. This Her Way is a nice sentiment. Any of these I could see reusing. And I love florals. I'm kind of sad right now because it's been so hot here and I haven't really been able to get out and garden, so my yard's not looking very floral-like, but I do really love the florals. So a nice stamp set, and this is photopolymer, so you can keep it forever. You can see these have been well used because they're a little stained. That happens when you use anything that has like a red pigmentation. It will kind of stain them, but they're clean and they're great. And so also, when I copy this, I get the coordinating colors that would go along with these card bases and the intended design. So obviously, if you change that up, these are going to change, but I do like to have that on here. So I keep these, I put these in it's actually like a notebook where I keep them, and then I'll keep notes. So maybe, I don't know why I keep them, but I do. Anyway, so that's in the kit as well. And then you get some ephemera, but in this kit we got some stickers. And we're not going to use this today, but we're going to use these little yellow stickers, and they're supposed to be the middle of your flowers. And so you can see that I've used a lot of them, and I just saved this part because that's what we're going to use up today. So I guess I wasn't very honest when I said that was all that I had left, because I do have this also. Anyway, so we're going to use that today, so I'm going to put it to the side. And then you get some ephemera. Now I've punched out all the ephemera and pretty much used it, but I wanted to show you these these are 3 sheets of the ephemera that you get. And so all you have to do is punch them out, and then you can use them in your cards. You also get a whole sheet of little sentiment strips. So these are double banner style, and so you get those also in your kit. If you're creating on the go, this foam or tag board is great because you can stamp on it. So sometimes when you have new stamps, you get a better image if you have something underneath it to help the cushion the stamp. So it's not always necessary, but I'll use that many times when I'm crafting, especially when I'm on the go. So I showed you what the contents of my kit was, and then these were the colors of the card base. So there was hydrangea hue and bubble bath, and they were scored so that all you have to do if you wanted to make those easel cards was to fold them. Well, we're going to talk about that because I told you we'd talk about the easel cards, and that is, I'm not big on easel cards, and I'll tell you why. I made a couple of easel cards, I think one for Christmas one time. I was so proud of the design. It was like, oh, it was like a tree and all the decorations, and it happened to be some good product. I mean, I just loved it, right? Well, lo and behold, when I sent it out, the person that got it didn't quite know what to do with it. And so I heard about that, and then I just kind of, well, I didn't know what to do. You can't do much about it in the end, right? And then I also sent another easel card. This was even to a different person. And easel cards maybe are not always understood how they might use them. And maybe there are some people, I actually was listening to a video where this was discussed. You know, when you're crafting, there's some cards that you want to send to people that you know are really going to appreciate all the work you put into it, because maybe they were a step above the kind of the general. So if they don't know what to do with it, you kind of defeated all that work. Now, I'm not saying that's true for everybody, and I certainly, if you like the easel cards, you can just say, oh, Rita doesn't know what she's talking about, and that's fine. But for me, I'm not big on them. I will create them once in a while, and if I know somebody that's going to know what to do with them and figure it out, then I'm so happy to do it, because it's a great fun fold, and it's a great kind of card that someone can put on their mantle or on their, wherever they like to look at the pretty cards they've gotten either for their birthday or Christmas or whatever occasion. So I'm not knocking the fold. I'm just saying that for me, it's a very selective reason why I would send an easel card. All right, so let's look at some of the cards I made, and then we're going to make a card here. Actually, I want to tell you, with the one that we make today, I'm going to be getting 14 cards out of this kit, where the directions were 9 cards, so 3 of each design. And what I like to do with my paper pumpkins is sometimes I like to create at least one of each of the designs, just to kind of compare and just to, because. And then I like to change them up a lot. But also, I like to realize that sometimes we've had a lot of birthday cards that have kind of come our way. And so there's a time and a place where you might have to draw the line on, not because they're not great designs. That's not the point. The point is maybe you have a lot of birthday cards. But remember, you can also make them and give them as gifts. So a box of cards that you give as a gift, that's a great idea. So anyway, back to the card. So this is the card. I used the full card base that was in the kit. And then this is the layer where the sentiment sits. That was also in the kit. And I know you didn't see the negative part of that because you didn't have to punch them out. They just came individual. So this is like one of those oblong ovals. And this is the perfect shape, perfect size that I like for my sentiments to live on. It gives me time and place to decorate, and also for a nice sentiment. So this birthday wishes, this little double banner was included in the set. This is that sticker from that sheet of stickers. So there was hooray, happy, and birthday. And happy and birthday were separated. They weren't together. So this is the happy part. And then this is all the ephemera that was in the kit. There are those little yellow parts that come from that sticker kit. And so and this was part of the ephemera that came in the kit. And so I just layered them all on there, and then I used some of these enamel dots. I actually used them a lot. They're so pretty, aren't they? So they have the hydrangea hue and the bubble bath, crisp cantaloupe, golden glow, and the peaceful pines. And these are called the 2026-28 in color dots. So if you haven't picked up a pack of these and you're going to be using these colors, these are so perfect. They're kind of pearlized and they're great. All right, and so on the inside, I didn't put anything yet. We'll see what I put in there. Obviously, I have everything that says happy birthday, so this might be one of those cards where I could just write a message. I do have a birthday coming up, so this might be a fun one. I did decorate the envelope, and I used the stamp set for that. Now, I do want to draw your attention to the fact that these stamps were, I stamped the ink on them, so hydrangea hue, timid tiger, melon mambo, which are all the coordinating colors. But this is second generation. And that is because when you stamp them on the brand new stamps that are maybe very juicy, we all like our stamps to have ink on them, right? They're a little too bright, I think, to coordinate with what you've put here on the front of the card. So this is second generation. So there is the first card that I created, and that's using that whole card base. You can see where it was scored right here. I think you can see that. But if you take your bone folder and you run it on the score line, you can kind of even it out so it's not such an issue. So there's one card base that was used up. Now let's look at card number 2. So this is card number 2. And I didn't use the full card base. This is basic white. What I did do is I cut a layer of melon mambo. Now I would tell you that melon mambo is pretty bright for me for my cards. I like to use it sparingly, but I did use it as the bottom layer. And that one, of course, measures the 4 by 5 1/4. And then I cut up one of those card bases, which is almost a whole panel. This is 3 3/4 by 5. And then this arch, as you can see it in the directions, this arch goes this way on your easel card, but I just turned it to the side because I really do like that visual when you see the place that the sentiment lives when it's kind of cut off. I just like that once in a while. Maybe not all the time, but I do like that. And then I just decorated it. This is another one of those stickers. I know that you can't maybe tell, but these stickers are shiny. They're like, what's that cardstock? It's called, I'll think of it. Glossy black cardstock. But it has a substantial feel and it feels slick. So it's just kind of neat. And then I just added a bow. And then these are some embellishments that I've had in my stash. I think they were something that I got when we had a celebration campaign and they were for free. So I was glad to use them up. And then I did cut some of my own leaves. And these leaves are using that Country Petal Punch. As you know, I use that a lot. I didn't bring it out now, but you've seen it many times in my video. And then I just used that graph stamp and the melon mambo to decorate the inside a little bit. This happy birthday is from a previous stamp set, but that's a good thing about keeping some of your product is you always have something that you can change up your design with, right? You can add to it. So this is card number 2, and I did decorate the front of the envelope with that graph stamp. And I do believe this was second generation as well. So that's card number 2. Now know that you can see all the measurements and stuff when you go to the website at Rita's Paper Motif. Actually, it's called the Paper Motif. It takes me sometimes a day or two to get everything up there, but you can definitely see those measurements. Now this is a fun fold. I don't know who the original person was to use it, but you know we all share our designs anyway. This happens to be, and I'm going to call it a pop-up gatefold is what I'm going to call it. I don't know what they call it. But it's basically a gatefold. You'll see the gap, and there's a reason for that. But this has the This piece of card of basic white came in the kit. It's where the sentiment lives, and it's kind of, I don't know what shape you might call that, but I did just go ahead and stamp Hooray from the stamp set in there, and then It's Your Day on those banner stamps and decorated it. Now you see the middle of the flowers are not that same adhesive backed decorations. These are what the Starburst sequence, and I'm sure that these are retired, but I used the yellow ones here, and that's because sometimes when we stock up on some of our stuff, it's good to use it and not keep it for too long, right? So we have room for new stuff. But this came in quite handy for the middle of the flowers. Now when you open this gatefold, you'll see that what is the outside, the focal point, now becomes the inside, and you have like it's sticking up because it's got a little spring to it, and so it just kind of pops up. Thus you have the pop-up. Now this is a card base that I rescored. So again, those measurements you can get in my on my website, and I'm wondering if I have them here that I might just tell you. So normally we cut this or score this half of 4 1/4, which is 2 1/8. But this is scored at 2 and then 6 1/4. So that's what gets this fold right here. So anyway, you can see more on the website, but there's that gatefold. And then also you know that you can edit this up. You could use DSP for this. You can do just a whole bunch of things for this. I mean, the sky is the limit really, but here's my rendition of it. And then I did stamp the outside. You can see that some of these colors are not second generation. This is what the Melon Mambo looks like first generation. But there's card number 3. And here's card number 4. Now, card number 4 is very much kind of like maybe what you would see on the illustrations. It's not an easel card, but I am using the card, so I cut up the card base. So this is 4 by 5 1/4, and that's the first layer. This is sitting on some hydrangea hue, and then this is that shape. And I just love these little leaves. It's just kind of neat to have them like this. But then I just decorated it, and I put a little ribbon, and these again are those beautiful in color dots. So they're kind of pearly like. So anyway, they're great. And then on the inside, I just used the stamp to decorate it. And then this is another stamp from the Paper Pumpkin set. So there's that. I did not decorate the front. And you can see in the front, if you look where you're supposed to address your envelope, it's got kind of a shiny, it's like one of those, it's like a half of one of those oblongs on here. And it's kind of shiny. So when you stamp, because I did a couple of times, that little shiny line there will kind of put a break in your stamp. Anyway, so there's card number 4. And then card number 5 is another fun fold. It's actually an edited fun fold. This is like a different kind of gatefold. So it's modified. So instead of having the doors open or the panels open in the middle, I have it offset to have one door on the left wider than the door on the right. And then I just decorated that sentiment piece, and then there's the inside. Now I used that sticker part on the inside, and then I put the happy, which is sticker part, on the outside, and then I used some of those brush butterflies. They are also retired, but they were on the last chance list for quite a while. And then I used just some of my old bling here. So what I like about some of those rhinestones is they seem pink here, but when you look at them on the sheet, they're not as pink. They just kind of soak up the color that is already there. And I did go ahead and decorate this so you can see that line there. That's what I was talking about, the shiny part on the where you address the envelope kind of will break through. But that's okay. I like it. And I did want to talk to you about how I got this on the bottom. So when you are, let me see, I'm going to pull it out here. So that's what I'm doing. When you hear paper rustling, that's me. So if you save these pieces that your ephemera comes in, they are also really great for ink blending. So what I did was I laid this across my envelope, and I just took my blending brush, and this is Old Olive, and you know, I just had it all blocked off. I used, actually this time I didn't use the masking paper, I used sticky notes. And so then I just masked it off, and then this is what I created. So it gives it that really soft look. Now you can make it as dark and bold as you want, but the point I'm trying to make is these can be used, so don't just toss them, maybe, but also know that our stencils or our masks are made out of stronger material than this is, so you might not get like a lot of uses out of it. I have 3 of these sheets, so I could have actually used them over and over, but they're great. So you see I used the bigger flower, I used some of the small flowers. So I really did use this negative part, and you can too. And we're going to talk about this one in a little bit too. So anyway, there's card number 5. And I hope you're enjoying this. If you are, please hit that like button. And I'm sorry I don't always see who's watching because it's hard for me. This is a one-man band here, and it's not always easy for me to, sorry, and I wanted to kind of center my screen there. It's not always easy for me to pay attention to who's on and watching, but I will come back and read all your comments, so just know that. All right, and here's one, you know, we just talked about the blending, right? So I did a lot of blending here. I took out some blending on the bottom with the garden green, and then on the top part here, that's Coastal Cabana, because I wanted it to be skylight. And remember this stencil? This is what I used to get, I wanted some cloud-like action there, and so I used this. Now once I blended it, it had a lot of white spots, and it did actually look like a blue giraffe. So what I did is I took the blending brush, and after I had used the stencil, then I went back over it with some of that Coastal Cabana ink just to kind of lighten up that white, because sometimes white and color, it can be really stark, and I think that was the problem. So anyway, that's what I did. And then I love this edging on here. And I got that edging by using the perennial postage dies. So if you don't have those dies, they're in the, sorry, mine fell on the floor and they're kind of out of sync here, but let's just fix it. I don't want to put it away this way. So you get a lot of these different dies. This is actually the biggest, and so let's just put it on here. You can watch me clean up my mess here. So you have different sizes. And this is the one I used for the card base, because you can see the pink and the pink card base. So I used that. And then you have just different sizes. I did use this, and I'll show you a little later, that one. So there's, like I said, there's different sizes here. And you could make some postage cards. You know, the postage thing is all the rage right now. So I wish we had a few more of those. But there you go. So there's the perennial postage, and they really are, in my mind, they are really a good thing to have, especially now because those cards are so popular. So, perennial postage. All right, and then I, again, did some blending with this negative right here. And so this piece right here is basic white, and it actually started out to be 4 by 5.5, but when you can see I cut it off right here, but after I was through blending, because I want it to be my top layer, I cut it down to 3 3/4 by 5. So this is what you know, was in the end, and so I just layered that on that card base and on some basic white. And you can see those gems that I used. Those are the rhinestones that I used there. And then I did mix it with some of those glittery dots that I got, that I've had in my stash. So if you look at it just right, you can see some of the color in them. And then I used one of those little brush butterflies. And on the inside, I just decorated it. I used the remainder of that card base for the inside decorations. And I'm, you know, as we craft, we kind of change our style a little bit. And I am really now very interested in decorating the inside as well as the outside, just to kind of bring them together. And then I did some more blending, the stamp and the flower and the stem are all from ink blending. All right, so there is card, I kind of lost count, number 6. And then this is number 7, and you know what kind of card this is, right? This is a gatefold. So it's pretty simple. All I did is, if this were the card base that came in the kit, this is how it would look, right? So I just inverted it so that the inside is now that hydrangea hue. I used 2 of those oblong, I can't say that word, I guess, oblong ovals for the outside place where the sentiment would sit, and then for the inside where your message could be. So this is just the perfect amount of space for me for the inside, because I often don't have a lot to say, and so I really think just signing my name is, you know, your sentiments, or my sentiments, I try to make them complete thoughts. So anyway, there's that. And you can tell that this is some more of that ink blending, and this time I used this part to get that foliage. So there it is, and then those flowers. So this is dot, and in hindsight, I know that's going to come off when it goes through that roller machine at the post office. So there we go with that. Here is card number 9. And again, I just cut up one of those card bases, and I used part. So when you cut your card base to use as a front of a card, you don't want to use that part that's initially scored, because, well, I just don't like to use it. So what I'll do is I'll cut, when this is 4 by 5 1/4, I'll have about this much left, and I used it on the inside. And I don't have a sentiment for the inside yet. But here's that stamp, birthday. I did get a little crooked. I tried to straighten it out, but they look sturdier than they really are. I didn't want to tear it, so I'll just leave it. But here's some more of that. This is not ink blending. This is the ephemera here. And then I just did all of the little flowers with those yellow parts. And here's some more of those 2026, 2028 in color dots. So there's that. And I did decorate the outside of the envelope. I like to decorate my envelopes. I know for a while I wasn't doing that, but I really do like the look. And this is card number 10. And card number 10 is really something I did on my own. It doesn't, other than using the ephemera, not a lot of it is from the kit. But remember I told you that I was going to talk about using this. So I used this part of the negative and some old olive. And I originally started with a piece of 4 by 5 1/4. And I just used this and took my ink blending brush and just used it all over to make my own DSP. And then when I cut it down to size, this was the panel. So when I cut it down, I had a little bit of, I'm sorry, we have some traffic out here. There was a little bit of like, where I didn't mask it very well or something. So there was a little bit of ink that kind of ended up here. There was, you could just tell it was out of place. And so when I cut this down, then I was able to cut that part off. So that's one of the good reasons to start out with a little bit bigger and then cut it down, because if you have some sides that you don't like, maybe you don't like how they're placed or whatever, then you have that option to kind of trim them off. But then I just added the flowers, and again, that's the perennial postage dies for where the sentiment lives. And then I had some old olive ribbon. I don't know when or where I got it, but I used it for that. And then just some rhinestone gems. And so these rhinestones are in our catalog, and they're perfect to use because they just give that je ne sais quoi to your card. And then I just decorated the inside. So I did decorate the outside. And this next card is one I really like. I've been wanting to do this for a while. This is one of those, this is that postage thing I've been talking about. So it's a white card base. I did the melon mambo layer, and then this white layer here, I used the Swirls of Magic embossing folder. You're going to see me using this a lot more. This is from the online exclusives that will become available soon. So when you get the chance to get this, well, I just love it. So of course I'm going to tell you you need it, but it's just perfect. It just, I can't wait to get some color on some of mine and just do some new things that I've been learning. But this is great, and you're going to see it a lot. And I want to remind you of the upcoming Christmas mini series. So that's going to start September 1st, and it's going to be all new product. And I wanted to wait till September because when you see some of the classes, if it's something that you like and you want to redo, then you can get that product while it's current. I might use a little, maybe some from my stash, but anything that I do is something that you can do with brand new products. So I want to invite you, if you haven't already put that on your calendar, put it on your calendar, and we're going to have a fun time. So anyway, this is one of those that you're going to see a lot of. So here's what I did. I took the perennial postage dies. I thought I'd beat the garbage, I guess not. So this size right here, and I cut out 6 little of these squares, and I did mask the bottom, but I wanted them to look like stamps. So I used the stamp set from inside the stamps, inside the paper pumpkin, to make it look like stamps. So what I wish I had in addition, and maybe I wouldn't do every one, but I wish I had in addition a little stamp that said 5 cents or 25 cents or something like that, because I could just see how this would make it so interesting. But I didn't have room for a ribbon. Maybe if you redo this, if you have the perennial postage dies, or if you get them, I'd like to see how you could maybe incorporate some ribbon or some twine, or I'd love to see how you change it up. And maybe you're not going to use the stamp set from the paper pumpkin, but I know there's so many stamps that you could use. And you know what, this will be great at Christmas time, right? The perennial postage and the stamp. So, you know, you're going to want to stay tuned. Anyway, I didn't do anything with the inside, and I didn't decorate the outside. I'm thinking I want to take one of those postage, perennial postage dies and just do a white one and do some ink blending, but I haven't done that yet. So anyway, if you want to see more, definitely head to that, to Rita's Paper Motif. And this is card number 12. I didn't decorate the envelope, but this is just a basic card. It's basic white, and then I took some, what is it called? Paper medley, and it has those little flowers. Let's see, I have a sample thing here so I can show you. So it has a sheet that has these little, they look like little tulips that is in hydrangea blue or hue. I call it hydrangea blue, but I've gotten a bad habit and I can't stop it. Hydrangea hue. And so I use that as the basic layer. Here's some more of that embossed folder that I used there. And then this is from, so I had a piece left over from my card bases, right? And so I used that. I made a banner on there. And then this is Spotlight of Nature with that hydrangea hue, that DSP again, and then just basic white. And then these little flowers, well, I cut a whole bunch of them, and we're going to use them tonight in the card that we make. But I cut them out from, oops, there goes my little jam. I guess I didn't stick him down very good. I use some stash for that. So there's a lot of different dies that you can use. So you can use the punch that I use all the time, the country bouquet, that cuts out 3 different sizes. That's what the leaves are cut out. But also if you have the dies from the Hugs of Bloom, or it was a paper pumpkin, then they also have some like little flowers and leaves that you can use. So there's that. And then also there's a lot of bloom dies that you can also use to get some flowers. So let me see, I have some here. I wanted to show them to you. So here's one. This is really old. It's called, I think it was, I can't even remember the name of it, but I kept the dies for sure. So there's a lot of little dies in here that you can use. Like, look at this little die. It's tiny. So you can, you know, pull out your stash when you're creating. And then here's, this is more current. This was like out of the last catalog. And so this has some nice foliage. It has some little blooms that you can use. This one I used. So there's that. And then the Flowers of Beauty has this strip where you can make those little, die cut those little flowers. Now, like I said, sometimes this stuff has retired, but if you've been stamping for a while, or if you've been collecting some of the product, then maybe you have that there. I will say that I love that punch, that country bouquet, because I've used it, well, it pretty much sits on my, except for today I cleaned up, pretty much sits on my desk here. So anyway, there's this card, and I didn't decorate the front. This is a medium envelope. We have these in my online store. So I haven't decorated it, but you can see that I've used up all the envelopes that came in the kit. So I just used one of my own. So there's that card. And then I want to show you the card that we're going to be making today. And I don't know if I told you, but let me show you before I show you the card. You know, this is live, and sometimes I'm not sure if I told you. So I have a cousin that does, she likes to do Bible studies, and she loves to give her students gifts. And so these are going to be bookmarks. So I haven't decided the strip. I don't know if I'm going to put the verse on here that she wants, or I'm going to decorate that side, or it's going to go on the back. But I'll take the clear label. It's called sheet of labels from Avery, and I will, you know, type up the scripture that she wants and then put it on whichever side, and then decorate the other side. So this was using part of those card bases too. So that'll be 2 bookmarks that she can share with her students. So this is the card we're going to make today. We're going to make a version of this. So this card is called the Pop-Up Balcony card. And so you can see I used part of that blue hydrangea hue card base on some hydrangea hue cardstock. And then I just stamped this and tried to cut around it and then do a shadow. And then these are all flowers that I die cut from the different dies that I just showed you that are in my stash. And then these are some old, I don't even know, they're not, that's not hydrangea hue. I think that is a couple in colors back. Oh gosh, I can't even remember the name. That's how old it is. So those go perfectly though, I think. They're not quite the same, but you can't tell because of how they're placed. But anyway, so I used that, and then this is why it's called balcony. And I do know this is very hard for you to see, but this is how it sits. If you were looking, if this was the table, this is how it would look. And so it sits up. I used a lot of different product for that, and we're going to make this today. So the inside, I did use an old stamp set. It's Spring Corners, so I kept that because I really do I like that. It's an added touch to your cards. So that's what I used. And then these are stamps from the stamp set, of course. Here's some ephemera from the ephemera pack that I cut. So we're going to make that, and I'm going to show you how to make it. Now, you're saying, how will that fit in an envelope? You saw me when I first took it out. So it inverts the other way, and then when you open it and sit it down, that's how it sits. So let's go ahead and make this. And here's the envelope that I have for this one. I'm going to put it to the side, but let's go ahead and make ours, and I'm going to share with you the measurements and what I have already for us to go. We're also going to use some of these little dots in here if we can. So we're going to first start out with, need to make room here. We're going to first start out with the card base. Now here's the card base. This is Bubble Bath. This is 8.5. Was 8.5 and 11, and then I just cut it in half at 5.5. So and scored it at 4 1/4. So there is our card base. And then this is Melon Mambo. It's going to fit right on top here. And this measures, sorry, this measures 4 by 5 1/4. And so if you were going to emit this, then you would use the same measurement for your DSP. But I'm going to put another layer on here. So this is 4 by 5 1/4. And then this is 3 3/4 by 5. And so it's going to lay right like that. Now, then you're going to need a piece of cardstock. This is what I call the upper step. And you can take a screenshot of that if you want. The upper step is a piece of cardstock that is 2 2.5 by 5.5, and then we're going to score it. So when you score it, I want to show you a little trick. I've already scored them, but the score marks are 1/2, and then 2 3/4 and 5. So I will take the first score mark and put it right here because it's easier for me to hold on to it and get that score mark, and I'll just score it because this is a half, right? A half right here. So I'll just score it. Then I'll flip this, and then I'll score at 2 3/4. So, yeah, 2 3/4. So I'll score it at 2 3/4. And then you can either do the half again, or you can, yeah, that's what I do. So there you go. And or you can measure it on this side over here, which would be 5. So if you measure that, it's 5 right there. So then you can go ahead, I go ahead and fold it, because I won't show you the other panel. So just go ahead and fold it. And while we're doing this, take your bone folder. And we've already cut the other piece that we need. So this piece is the same thing as far as 1/2 inch on that side. So it's 1/2 inch, 3 3/4, and 7. So it's actually in half. So you can see it's in half. And then it's 5 1/2. I mean, half. I don't know where I got the 5 1/2. And we'll just take our bone folder and burnish those fold lines. And then you need, for this long part, you need some DSP, or I use the card base. And you need 2 of these, and these are 1 1/4 by 3. So 2 of these. And you need 2. For this step, you need 2 pieces that are 2 by 2 1/4. And so I cut that out of the card base as well. So let's go ahead and set these 2 up right now so that we will have those ready to go. Now, I like to use tear and tape on this, and I'll tell you why. I don't mind using glue. In fact, for my videos, I usually do use glue because it gives me that little time to manipulate. It's kind of hard to be exact when you have a camera between you and what you're doing, right? So the glue just gives me that little bit of time to manipulate my whatever I'm doing. But I do normally like to use the Stamp and Seal when I'm creating. So I'm going to go ahead and put tear and tape on those 1/2 inch folds because we're going to be securing those to the card. And so they're done. And then also I have an oval, and this I cut using one of those dies. We're also going to use this from the ephemera pack, and then because I had this left over. So this is all I have left from the ephemera. I actually have a little bit of some little flowers here, just some tiny ones. So we can definitely use those just for the fact that we used them all, but we'll put those back. So we are definitely going to use this. So let's get going on our card now. So I am also just going to go ahead and adhere these things on here. Let's go ahead while we have this flat and start on this part here. So I'm going to take my glue, my multi-purpose glue, and I just use an old prescription bottle to hold my glue upside down. And I didn't really want to get glue on my hand because then I'll be sticky. Okay, hopefully that's done there. All right, so let's just go ahead and put our going to go ahead and adhere this to our Melon Mambo panel. We're going to try and get this as balanced as possible so that we have the same kind of margin on both sides, and then we will adhere this to our card base. Most of the time I like to use just basic white for, sorry here. Let's see, I'm going to turn it this way. I like to use basic white for my card bases, but I did want to use this bubble bath because if not, then we'd need to decorate this inside. And so if you want to, you can use different DSP for that if you want to. It's totally up to you. Now here is our sentiment part. So what I did with this is I put that hooray. We don't have any more hooray stickers. So I am going to just stamp hooray and then cut it out. I'm not going to put it on that black, but I'm just going to stamp it out. So let's get our stamp set. Let me grab that, and then we're going to get my silicone mat. And the stamp. Okay. Whoops. Sometimes I like to, most of the time I like to use my stamp positioner, but for today we'll just use this. And I need a piece of basic white. So let's just use this, and then we're gonna cut it. I may use that black, I don't know. White on white may, I don't know, we'll see. Hooray will fit on here. Hooray will fit on here, but let's see. I don't know, let's just stamp it on here and then we'll cut it out. I was thinking I could just stamp it on there because then I wouldn't have to cut it out. But how would we do that? So, sorry. Okay, we could do that. Yeah, let's stamp it right on here. Change of plans. And we want to stamp it now because if our stamp doesn't come out straight, then we can turn it over. So I'm hoping that's straight. Ah, it is. Okay, there we go. Not too bad. All right, so now we have our sentiment, where our sentiment is going to live. I'm not going to put dimensionals under this, which I normally like to do, because this card is already kind of bulky and you're already going to be required to use 2 stamps or a little more postage, so I'll just leave it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and adhere this to the front of our card. Let's see here. And I'm not going to put it right smack in the middle because I know I want this to sit on here. So I'm going to put it off to the side. There's no fast rule that your sentiment has to be right in the middle. There just isn't. All right, so let's wait for that, and let's go ahead and do the inside now. Now let's go ahead and start with this, the first step. Now this is whiter. Let's go ahead and put our panels on it before we put it down though. So let's go ahead and do that. I had great fun with this. I think I've done it once before, but it's been a long time. So it was kind of fun just to take those extra little squares and do something with them, right? And so I'm sorry, I need to move this so I can. Okay, let's see here. I want it as even as I can get it. But this is a great fun fold to use up some of those little square pieces. I mean, sometimes you have pieces, square pieces that are like 3 inches or so. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll take a pick tool. Let's take off that tear and tape off of both sides. And I want to thank those of you that are joining, watching. Okay, we're going to line that fold part, right? This part right here with the fold in our card. And we want to line it clear on the bottom. So, let's see here. I need to be able to see it. Okay, clear to the bottom. And then we're just, with that tear and tape, we're just going to place it down like that. And then we have our first balcony part, right? Let's take the second part. Let's go ahead and put those panels on. Now I could see this with some DSP. I could see this with all kinds of decorations. So this is one that you maybe want to have in your idea list. Okay, let's see. So thanks, Denise, for, I did see you, sorry. Thank you for stopping by. Glad to see that you can make it today. You've been kind of busy, haven't you? All right, so this is going to fit, same thing. It's going to go on that fold line. So let's go ahead and take off our tear and tape. I love tear and tape for things like this, especially like for boxes and 3D projects, just because it isn't going to, it's very sturdy. It has, and let's see. Again, same thing. Want to line that up and to the bottom. Flush to the bottom. And there we go. And now we have that balcony effect, right? So let's go ahead and reburnish this. Okay, there we go. So now, if you had white panels in here like I did in here, you can decorate those, or you don't have to. I left mine plain, but we are going to decorate the steps. So let's lay this flat and finish out here. So you can decorate the inside any way you want. I'm thinking now in retrospect, I think I'm going to cut this off. Maybe not. Yes, I am. I'm thinking in retrospect that you may want to add some basic white on there. I didn't want to cover, oh, maybe I didn't want to cover up my sentiment there. You know what? We have this other one. No, I'm gonna cut this up. Because you can always cut these, right? So let's just cut them. So what do I want? I want to cut. I really did have this all planned. I guess I didn't. Let's cut this off right here. And so this can fit right there. Let's pull this over. And I'm just going to put a dot on here. I know that there are those precision bottles and stuff, and you can definitely use those. I find that if I just dot on here, I'm okay. And then most of the time I will take my reverse tweezers, just so I don't get sticky all over me. And then we're just going to put this kind of at a slant. There we go. And then I have this piece too that I'm thinking I'm going to put right here. So let's cut. I like the fullness of it. And there we go. So let's do that too. And I don't think I have any adhesive on here, so now we do. Our flowers will probably take care of that anyway, so. Right here. Okay, so we've kind of changed that around. That's okay. And then we're going to take some of those flowers. Now we can take some of the flowers that we had before too, if we want, like those. That's what we have left here. We can definitely use those. Let's see what else we have in here. So maybe, yep, let's just put them on there. So I like to take this little bit of ink like that, and I'll just use that. So let's use it right here. Let's take one of these Melon Mambo. And right there. Now you could put these anywhere, right? You don't have to. It's totally up to you how you want to decorate this, but this is my way, so let's see here. I'll take a small one of these. Guess not. Okay, and then let's find a little pink one. Okay, then we can Egg. You can even put some up here. We can do that in a little bit. Let's decorate the inside first and then maybe we'll come back. But we can take some of these white stickers, yellow stickers. Sorry, I knew they were yellow. And we can just put them in on our flowers. Just like that. I thought I saved just enough. So I'm feeling good because you know what, we've used up that, well, not the birthday, but we've used up everything else. Let's see. We are going to use all of these. I do feel good when I've used up all my, whoops. Okay, I think after this we shouldn't hear the garbage truck anymore. Okay, and I try to do my videos when there's not a lot of traffic, but good luck with that. All right, so what I was going to do was I was going to stamp something right in here that would say, that would be something, a message, something, because you know, I just didn't want to make this any heavier, so that's why. But if you were using DSP and not all these layers, that would be a perfect thing to do, right? Because DSP does not weigh as much as these card bases do. All right, let's go ahead and decorate now. So you see a lot of leaves there, and I do want to do that again. We're going to use that country bouquet punch, so let me grab that because I did put it away. But we're going to use that for leaves. So let's just go ahead and punch a few. And I didn't want this to be too long of a video, so we're going to try and condense things here. Okay, I think that that's enough. So let's go ahead and decorate. So like I did with, I didn't really have a rhyme or reason. I just kind of put these wherever. Now what I did do is I made sure I only put adhesive on the middle part of the flower. And then that way I could slip some of these leaves in between. So let's just do that. So I'll put the one over here. Whoop. And we can also cut some of these off too, some of these leaves if you wanted to. I think I'm going to use them for another card. So I'm just going to put, I'm going to put these leaves. But you're getting the idea of this card. And so you're going to make it your own, obviously. Whoops, I don't want to do that yet. And so we'll just keep building here. Just keep building. Any way that you see fit. Whoop, that is way too much glue. Okay, and you could even put some white, just turn them around, and you could use some white, would be cute, right? Okay, let's add those leaves. You could cut the leaves off if you need to. I've done that. And now I'll have glue on my scissors, but because if your leaves are bigger than your, if your leaves are bigger than your flower, I don't know about that. So you could slip them underneath if you haven't. Let's see. If you haven't glued the entire flower down, then you can still slip these. I glued that entire flower down. You can still slip some of these leaves underneath. And then on the top, you can do all kinds of things. So I didn't, I'm gonna not do that today, but you can see on here that I did some more leaves. And I put this butterfly, this is out of vellum. And so you can definitely do that. I kind of think bees and flowers kind of go together. Let's see here. Well, so I've decorated a little bit of this. Now, if you go to my website in a day or two, you can see the finished project. I'll have maybe some butterflies. I'm not sure what I'm going to put up here. I originally wanted to put a basket with some flowers, and I used the black basket from the Easter dies, but you know what happened was that when it stuck up here, it was too big. It was out of proportion with the rest of the balcony. So I might work on that, see if I can get something that's more scaled down and do that, because since this is like a floral theme, that might work out better. So here we go with that, and I'll decide what I'm gonna do here. But if you're gonna put designer series paper like on here, you definitely want to do that before you put the steps, right? So here you can see some designer series paper. This is that paper metally. And then I did just put leaves. We could put some of those leaves on here, but I kind of feel when you have stems like this that you need something on them, right? I mean, you can't just have like empty stems like that. That might look like my garden right now. So anyway, so be sure to check back on my website to see what I've done, and I'll also post it here on Facebook so you can see. Let's put some more flowers. Maybe some of these little ones like up here, because it feels incomplete to me. So let's do that. Let me get my tweezers. And I'm just feeling like I feel kind of like in a rush because we've been on here for a while now. So, but, you know, I just wanted you to know that the paper pumpkin is really worth it. All you have to do is subscribe, and then at the end of the month, kit. And next month, obviously, it's called Kindred Greetings, so that might be really fun. We'll have to wait and see what that's all about. But, so, So let's see, did I have, we wanted to put some, I wanted to put some of these little sequins on my flowers here. So, and this is our take your pick tool. It's got a lot of attachments, but the one I'm using is, it has some little gummy stuff on here, like we used to use it to tack up posters and stuff. Little tacky glue. I'll use a bigger one for this blue one. But I'm using up some of this, so that's good, right? And we're also just kind of zhuzhing up our flowers here. So there we go. There's, I just know that it's hard for you to see this, but this is what it would look like. If this were sitting on a table right here, this is what you would see. So there we go. All right, so let's bring all of those cards back out. I'll leave that like that. Let's see. I don't know how to. All right, and then let us bring some of those cards back out so that you can just take a look. And again, you can find them on the website. So definitely have a look. And of course, I don't want to forget my favorite. So, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I know we're here a little longer than I wanted to be, but I had some fun creating with you or for you. And I just hope that you'll take advantage of that paper pumpkin sale right now, because I'm pretty sure you won't regret it. And then come back next month, we'll do the next paper pumpkin. And if you've subscribed, then you'll be able to definitely show me what you've created. And so also, I always want to invite you that if you've done some creations like this, paper pumpkin or whatever we're doing, if you do alternatives, I'd love to see them. So you can definitely post them so that we can all see. So thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. And I'll invite you back next Thursday. Have a good week. Goodbye now.